Title: The Forgotten Village. 107 vanished souls, and the ritual no one survived. There is a place in the Balkans that no longer appears on any map, a place smothered by time, erased by fear, and buried by those who wished it never existed. Its name is Crna Voda, Black Water. In 1971, 107 residents of Crna Voda vanished overnight. No bodies, no signs of struggle. The village, nestled deep within the forests of former Yugoslavia, became a ghost town in a single silent evening. Official records never acknowledged the incident. No news reports, no investigations. It was as if Crna Voda had been swallowed by the earth itself. Those who knew the village existed were silenced or disappeared. Maps were redrawn, and the roads leading into the forest were sealed off. It became a place of whispers and warnings. But the truth, as it always does, found a way to crawl back into the light. 11 years later, a retired Yugoslav intelligence officer named Nikola Savic stumbled upon a classified file during an unauthorized visit to a government archive in Belgrade. The file, stamped in red ink, read, "Do not investigate. 1971 incident." Inside were a few fragments: a burnt photograph of a village, coordinates scratched into the margins, and a strange symbol: a three-eyed sun surrounded by barbed rays drawn in crimson ink. Nikola had never seen anything like it before. Curiosity turned into obsession. Nikola reached out to an old acquaintance, Dr. Levent Kor, a Turkish archaeologist and expert in pre-Christian Slavic rituals. When Levent saw the symbol, he froze. It belonged to a long-extinct sect called the Eyes of Vesna. This cult, banned and erased from historical records, worshipped a being known only as the Watcher Beneath the Ice. Levent translated an inscription found in the back of the photo: "When the lake reflects no light, the eye shall open. Flesh is offering, every face a key." They believed this was not metaphor. This was instruction. Nikola discovered that, in 1969, Soviet geologists conducted a secret survey near Crna Voda. Their report was never published, but one surviving page described seismic activity and abnormal sonar reflections beneath the nearby Lake Bila. The data suggested a massive hollow space below the lake bed, but what disturbed the scientists were the recordings, rhythmic pulses resembling a heartbeat. That same winter, village letters and journals showed a pattern: reports of identical nightmares. Villagers dreamed of standing in the forest at night, surrounded by shadows with human faces, but no eyes. They heard singing beneath the frozen lake, and in the morning, one of them would be gone. The villagers stopped writing. Then they stopped existing. In 1982, Nikola and Levent launched a covert expedition. They hired a guide, a smuggler named Miro, who claimed he knew the forest, but refused to enter the village ruins. "It is not abandoned," he said. "It is sleeping." They ignored his warnings. Upon arrival, they were struck by how untouched everything seemed. Snow covered rooftops, smoke stains remained on chimneys, dishes sat in sinks. Time had not moved, but the silence was absolute. Not a bird, not a breath of wind. The chapel at the village center had been desecrated. The crucifix was gone, replaced by a blackened mirror. Beneath the floorboards, they discovered a spiral staircase leading into the earth. This was not on any blueprint. Below, they found a cavern, and at its heart, a pool of perfectly still water. When they shined their lights on it, the reflections vanished. There was no mirror image, no bounce, just black. Levent dropped a coin in. No sound, no ripple. Then the whispering began. first soft, then deafening. Nicola began speaking in a language Levent did not understand. His eyes rolled back. He walked toward the water. Miro ran. He never returned. Levent recorded his final words. "The eye beneath watches still. It needs memory. It drinks remembrance. We are all keys." Nicola vanished. Only Levent's tape recorder was found outside the forest, left in Miro's abandoned car. The recording ends with static, but just before the silence, there's a voice, layered, ancient, calling a name that no one remembers. Crna Voda remains sealed off by what is now Croatia. Satellite imagery shows nothing, just forest. But those who hike too deep report hearing voices at night. Some claim to see a woman standing by a frozen pond, beckoning, and when they blink, she is gone. But their reflections never return. The Watcher is not a god. It is not a demon. It is something older. It does not want worship. It wants your face. Crna Voda was not lost. It was chosen. But the story doesn't end there. Months after the incident, a strange object washed up on the shores of Lake Bela. It was a statue, crudely carved, its surface warped as if burned. Locals reported that it would change position overnight, facing different directions. A dog that touched it died within minutes, its body bloated and eyes missing. In 1983, a rescue team dispatched to find any remaining trace of Nicola found something unexpected. Deep in the woods, hanging from a tree, was a coat. Inside the pocket was a map, hand-drawn, with ink smudged from moisture. But the strange part, the map had a section labeled Second Crna Voda. This village, if it exists, lies even deeper in the forest, beyond satellite reach. The map also contained a new symbol, a spiral within a triangle, surrounded by jagged lines. Dr. Levent's daughter, Melis Kaur, inherited the documents after his disappearance. She was only 14 at the time, but by age 25, she had become a folklore researcher herself. In her 1991 thesis, she connected the eyes of Vesna to rituals found in Inuit and Evenki tribes of Siberia. Her conclusion, the cult's beliefs were not regional, but universal. Their god, the Watcher, appeared under many names. Across Europe, reports surfaced of lakes where people vanished under similar circumstances. In Finland, Poland, and even as far as northern Spain. In each case, there was one detail in common: a mirror with no reflection. In 1996, a British documentary crew attempted to locate Crna Voda. They went missing after crossing into a restricted zone. Their footage was recovered, but most of it was static. One clip showed a woman, blurry and still, standing at the edge of a pond. She was smiling. A final whisper was caught on tape. "We never needed your belief, only your memory." Today, urban explorers, fueled by online forums and myths, try to reach Crna Voda. Many turn back, some don't, but none bring back footage. Phones lose battery, GPS fails, the forest swallows. And every few years, when winter is at its coldest, the lakes in the surrounding regions freeze darker than usual. Locals call it Black Winter. If you see your reflection blink before you do, run. The further Daniel explored, the more bizarre and incoherent the village became. Houses appeared to have been frozen mid-action. A kettle still sat above a fireplace with no flame, full of dried, mold-covered tea leaves. Dinner tables were laid out for meals that were never eaten. Children's toys were scattered on the floor as if dropped in panic. But no people, no corpses, no bones, just absence. Behind the town hall, Daniel discovered a path leading into the woods. Overgrown and unwelcoming, it twisted deeper into the wilderness like a serpent. Every instinct told him to turn back, but something ahead whispered otherwise. At the end of the path, hidden beneath a layer of vines and moss, was an ancient stone doorway leading into an underground chamber. The air grew colder, unnaturally cold, as if the earth itself rejected this place. Inside, Daniel found what looked like a ceremonial chamber. Blackened candles lined the walls, and the stone floor was carved with cryptic symbols not recorded in any known language. In the center of the room, a large pit covered by a rusted iron grate, and beside it, a book. The book was bound in a leather-like material that pulsed faintly when touched. Its pages were thick, handwritten, and chaotic. They spoke of an ancient entity named Amon-K, a godlike presence said to feed on devotion, sacrifice, and fear. The village, once known as Eldhollow, had been a peaceful community until they uncovered the pit during a mining operation in 1884. Beneath the rock and soil, they discovered the tomb, sealed by a forgotten civilization, and they opened it. From that moment, the entries became increasingly desperate. Whole families began vanishing. Crops failed overnight. Madness spread like a plague. Children would speak in voices not their own. Elders walked into the woods and never returned. Then came the offering ritual. The blood of many for the silence of one. To appease the entity, the villagers turned to ritual sacrifice. Each month, one soul was given. First, the old, then the sick, then whoever resisted, until only 107 remained. But even that wasn't enough. The final entry was dated October 13th, 1897. It ended mid-sentence, ink trailing off the page like the writer was pulled away. Daniel sat in silence, heart pounding. He had to leave. As he ascended the staircase, the air grew thick. The lights from his lantern began to dim, not flicker, dim as if being swallowed. Behind him, soft whispers echoed up from the pit, repeating his name. Daniel, Daniel, Daniel. The return. When he emerged from the chamber, it was already night. The sky was moonless, yet faint red light bathed the trees. But it wasn't the sun. It was something else, pulsing from below. Daniel ran. He sprinted through the forest back to the village square. But the village had changed. The buildings were older now, more decayed, and covered in unfamiliar vines. The layout was wrong. New alleys existed where they hadn't before. And then he saw them. Figures, standing motionless in the shadows, dressed in the faded garments of 19th century villagers. Their faces were blank, their eyes hollow, but locked on him. One by one, they began to follow.